what a great time to be a Giant, be a fan of the Giants.
Like, we have something going here. We're building something special, and, you know, you can see it from the outside and inside. It's even more beautiful.
Reflecting on everything that got me here, just to see that uniform, and, you know, I watched, that's the team I watched the most growing up because my dad was a Giants fan, so.
Once a Giant, always a Giant. For me, it's only a Giant.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of All In with Art Stapleton, a New York Giants podcast brought to you by NorthJersey.com and The Record. I'm your host, Art Stapleton, and the preseason is over. Kaput. All focus now for the New York Giants is on September 10th, back in this building here at MetLife Stadium in prime time, Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. Game 1 of Season 2 for Brian Daboll, the Joe Schoen era. And the Jets were victorious tonight in a game that, the Giants treated like a preseason game, and for the first 2 series, the Jets treated it like it was the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers makes his debut here, and, you know, it's kind of funny how things play out. Rodgers ends up throwing a touchdown to Garrett Wilson over Gamon Green, who is an undrafted rookie out of Michigan, who, by all intents and purposes, might not even be in the league on Tuesday. He's not one of those considered for the 53-man roster, at least certainly not a lock. He ended up getting banged up leaving here tonight at the end of the night. So no disrespect to Green, but Rodgers to Garrett Wilson against one of the other rookies that the Giants have, Trey Hawkins or Deonte Banks, would have been far more impressive. But anyway, 32-24, the Giants lose to the Jets, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but really what mattered is Isaiah Simmons made his debut with the Giants, and if you had told me that he was going to play yesterday, I would have said there's no way. But when I got to the stadium tonight, there were rumblings that Simmons had a chance to play. Not only did he play, he started. He only played 6 plays. He had 6 snaps. 1 play was negated by a penalty. Not his. It was actually really a fluke penalty down the field against the Giants, a pass interference call. But Simmons had 5 pass rushes, and he should have sacked Aaron Rodgers on one, and Rodgers kind of squirmed away and ended up having to throw the ball away as he stumbled towards the sideline. But got sound for you. Isaiah Simmons, he was in Minnesota. Arizona was there for joint practices and a preseason game this week. So when he got the news that he was traded, he hopped on a plane, basically packed his bag, and headed to New Jersey. So the clothes he has is essentially the clothes that he brought to Minnesota, and the ones on his back here with the Giants. Everything else is back in Arizona, so he'll have to figure out how to pack all that up and get it here. But I thought you would enjoy listening to Isaiah Simmons after the game in the locker room. The defense is actually in the auxiliary locker room here. Once the cuts go down on Tuesday, everyone will be back in the main Giants locker room here at MetLife. But without further ado, let me get you to Isaiah Simmons in front of his locker after the game. I asked some questions. I think you'll enjoy his answers about the potential sack of Rodgers, and then his fit with Wink. Those were 2 of my questions, and you'll have to deal with the other questions from everyone else that was in the gaggle in front of Isaiah Simmons.
Giants fans hear that Isaiah Simmons has been traded to their team, and they go bonkers. What can they expect from you at this stage, coming in so late in camp, to try to contribute to this ball club?
Yeah, I would just say somebody who's just here to make plays for the team, just to help the defense take whatever the next step is we need to take. honestly, really that's it. It's just plays that to be made, and they're going to be made. So I'd probably say that's what you can expect the most, is big plays.
You talked to Rick Martindale, the defensive coordinator, and the head coach Brian Daboll already. What were those conversations like? What did they give you in terms of expectations?
I mean, the only rule they gave me is just, we run to the ball, and I was like, well, that's an easy rule. I have no issue with that. So, right as of right now, they're still getting me familiar with the system, learning everything. But just what Wink said, there's going to be different things that I'll be doing. So, I'm just excited to dive deep into those tasks and, learn all the fine details within them so I can execute them to the highest ability.
How long do you think it will take to get you to be acclimated to have a bigger role? Right now, it's only going to be small bites.
Sorry?
How long do you think it's going to take to get acclimated to have a bigger role? Because right now, you can only take small bites.
Yeah, I feel like I should be ready to go by week 1. So,
what have these last few days been like for you, and how excited were you for the change of scenery kind of deal?
Extremely excited. How could I not be? This is a great organization, great coaching staff, and just for being around the guys this little bit of time, everybody here is great. But just personally, things have been, it's been a bit hectic. I came straight from Minnesota, so it's just been a little hectic. I'm trying to figure out where I'm gonna wash my clothes tomorrow, but it's been good though. It's been hectic in a good way. I'm glad that these are things that I'm dealing with right now. So everything's been hectic but good and very good.
Isaiah, were you surprised what happened in Arizona that you were traded?
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I definitely was a little surprised.
We saw you say you really wanted the opportunity to play safety. You really didn't want to play linebacker. It looks here like you were a backup linebacker. How do you feel about that?
Hey man, like I just told you, I'm here to help the team in any way we can, and I don't have a problem with linebacker. That's what I played in college. That's what I played my first 2 years in the league. So I have no issues with it. And like I said, I'm ready to dive into that and get into all the details so I can perform to my best ability.
Do you get the sense that linebacker and Wink's system is not necessarily the traditional inside linebacker that maybe most teams play? That
For
the
sure,
idea of
yeah.
you're going to get to do a lot more.
For sure. That's why I have no concerns with what Wink's vision is. I got full trust in him. He's a great coordinator, and he knows how to utilize his players to their best ability. So I don't have no worries with what his plan is for me.
What do you think your best strengths are as a football player, and where do you think you'd like to take it up to another level, another notch, if you will?
I'd say really just my ability to generate big plays. Whether if it's me making a sack or an interception or, a PBU or whatever it could be, a TFL. I just feel like my playmaking ability, is just, it could come about at any point in the game. So I just feel like that's really one of my strongest suits is that, I'm able to affect the game on multiple different levels.
What was it like training with Saquon this offseason? Is it crazy that you're now on the same team?
Yeah, he talks a lot of shit if nobody knows. He's probably the most competitive person I've ever met in my whole life. And with everything. And he's been telling me week two, like, but now we're going to be together week 2. And we're actually, every single game we're going to be together. So he got a little lucky.
How much at all does being traded put a chip on your shoulder about proving something extra?
I don't got nothing to prove anything, but I play for an audience of 1, and that's the reason it's there. So I don't really have much to prove to anybody.
Isaiah, they said on the broadcast that you told Daboll, on the TV broadcast, that you told Daboll you're most comfortable rushing the quarterback. Assuming that's true. Out of Arizona, they said you asked to play safety. Which is it? Because if you wanted to play safety, you wouldn't rush the quarterback.
Right. I mean, you can, but I don't really have too many discomforts on the field just because I've spent so much time in various different places. So, I'm comfortable rushing the passer just like I'm comfortable playing half field or post safety. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's all just a position and a responsibility. So it's easy.
So whatever you're asked to do.
Yep.
Did it annoy you that Rodgers was able to slip away from you tonight?
Oh, I wanted that sack. I definitely did, but it's okay. We'll see him again.
Did you think you actually what do you got close to?
You know, I really think I had until the plays over. I feel like I should have, just for myself. But, you know, it happens.
That matchup going against the quarterback, even though it's not preseason, looking at here, you know, on short notice like this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care if it's a preseason game or it's week 16. You know, I treat everything the same. So I'm not really too worried about, you know, the fact that this is a preseason game, because I'm not going to go out there and give like 80%, you know, so that kind of stuff doesn't really go into factor.
How has it been meshing with your new defensive teammates?
Good. I mean, everybody's welcomed me in with open arms, just like I've been here from the jump. So I appreciate all of them for that. You know, it says a lot about the culture here, just what type of team this is. So, you know, I appreciate all the guys just bringing me in, welcoming me in.
What does you make, if anything, of being traded for a 7th round pick when you were a top 10 pick in the draft? And how much does that play into your using as motivation?
Yeah, I think the Giants got a good deal. We'll see if it was worth 7th pick or not.
What advice has Dex given you about coming here and being a part of this team?
I mean, really, not so much advice, just a lot of love, saying that I'm going to love it. I'm going to love the defense here, love the staff, love all the guys. You know, once again, that's another person I really trust, one of my good friends from way back when. So, you know, I'm just really looking forward to just really getting going.
I'm sorry I was late over here, so you would probably ask, but did you do like a lot of playbook cramming in the last 24 hours, or did you not know, were you just kind of going out there and relying on your athleticism?
Nothing out of the ordinary, but, you know, I've definitely dove into the playbook already just because I want to be ready week 1.
So that's Isaiah Simmons. I think you'll enjoy his personality, actually seeing him on the field. I actually talked to Dexter Lawrence about his college teammate at Clemson, and Dex said, you know, he'll fit right in. You saw the explosiveness tonight off the edge. Wink will find a role for him. You know, there's a lot of trust in Wink Martindale and what this Giants defense believes they'll do. So you heard Simmons say that he believes he'll be ready for week 1. It'll be interesting to see what kind of role he develops into here on this defense. They'll actually play him at inside linebacker, but I think you're going to see him move around a lot. And in Wink's, you know, his amoeba packages, he's got the exotic blitzes that he'll use, and it's just another weapon and another chess piece for Wink Martindale to use. So that's the Isaiah Simmons component. I also was able to catch up with Tommy DeVito. The quarterback played about 3 quarters tonight, and you know, was this his last game in a Giants uniform? I don't think so. I think he'll end up clearing waivers. I think he'll be waived, clear waivers, and then come back on the practice squad. I think he's really shown enough as a developmental prospect that the Giants want him here. Now, if you're Tommy DeVito, you want to be here, and I asked them that question. I had a one-on-one outside the Giants locker room. So why don't we go to Tommy and me outside the Giants locker room talking about tonight. One chapter closes and the next chapter is a little bit uncertain for the kid for Cedar Grove. So Tommy, tell me about tonight. I know you're going home tonight. You're going to put your head on the pillow and you're going to be reliving that pick 6 tonight. But overall, how do you walk out of here? I mean, do you look at this as the closing of one chapter and the start of another?
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. I mean, I think it's just like that was just like the introduction, right? I mean, 3 games, small sample size, but trying to show growth in every one of those games moving forward. And I think I've done that. Obviously, there's still something to clean up. Like you said, that pick 6, that was the first ever, whole career, first time ever having a pick 6. So that's clearly going to stay with me forever. But that's something that I was able to clean up and something that I can correct for the next time moving forward. And really just learn from the film tomorrow and grow from it.
You know, what are the emotions? Can you describe the emotions for me as you're leaving here? I mean, you know what's coming up in 48 hours, maybe sooner, maybe a little later. What are you thinking right now as far as where you're at?
Right now, I'm pretty even like Keo, pretty calm-minded until I walk out of this parking lot and see 300 people that are out there with my family and everybody else, and that'll bring a lot of joy because this game has brought me close to a lot of people and has brought a bunch of people together. So be able to really just soak in that moment and enjoy that moment with my family, and then tomorrow watch the film, clean it up, and I left everything out there. I have no regrets. So whatever happens, happens. But
you told me during the week, you're ready for whatever opportunity that this brings for you, whatever comes next. Why do you sound so content and satisfied with where you're at, but also confident and optimistic about where you're going?
Because I can only control what I can control. I can't control any decisions that are made by this organization or any other organization. I can only control my play on the field and what my job is and trying to be the best at that.
When you when you're out there and you throw that touchdown to Sills at the end, what's running through your mind? I mean, is that just basically pitch and catch at that point?
Pitch and catch at that point, going for two, trying to score that 2-point conversion. And that was kind of all my mind was going for. I didn't even get excited until after I saw Sills' smile. And I know I don't really get on social media too much, but I saw Twitter hoping for that early on before the game. So I hope they were a little excited with that one.
You told me during the week you grew up idolizing Aaron Rodgers. Is still probably your favorite quarterback.
For sure.
Did you get a chance to get over to him? And say
I did. Yeah, we shared some words at the end, and it was just I was a little bit in shock, just looking at him he's really right where me and you are right now. And I know there were definitely some pictures taken, videos taken. I'm gonna have to get one of those and frame it up. And that was just an awesome moment. Like I said, this game of football brings people together, and I would never have had the opportunity to meet him unless it was on this field how it is today. So I'm grateful for it.
I asked you this the other day. Do you feel like you're a Giant right now?
I do.
The idea that you will be here moving forward.
It feels right. But like I said, control what I can control. But if I can pick anywhere, I'd be here. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, have a good night.
So that was Tommy DeVito. Thanks to him for joining me outside the locker room after the game. Obviously, he was a little frustrated with the pick six. Would have loved to have that back. First pick six of his career at any level, which was kind of crazy. I think part of it was the route that David Sills ran. I think he kind of fell off the route a little bit. DeVito threw it a little behind him, and that's how the pick happened. Brandon Eccles. But in terms of where DeVito is, look, I think he'll be here beyond, next Wednesday, which will be the 4 p.m. waiver wire, or actually it might be earlier than that. But, like he said, look, this will only open up another opportunity, and you have to be welcome for that opportunity. If another team claims Tommy DeVito and puts them on a 53-man roster, he's obviously going to be ecstatic. That's very unlikely to happen. And I believe that the Giants would want him back on the practice squad as a third quarterback. A lot of people have talked about that third quarterback rule. That means you have to keep 3 quarterbacks on the active roster. I think people lose sight of that rule unless it's changed since the inception of it. The idea now is that they are going to allow, it comes off of Brock Purdy last year with the 49ers and what happened in the playoff game against the Eagles. But you have to have 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster to have a third quarterback active on game day. So that's where it comes. You can't keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53 and actually receive a waiver and keep 54 players on the roster. It doesn't work that way. So Tommy DeVito will have to clear waivers and then get to the practice squad and then ultimately get back up to the game day roster in order to be able to be that third quarterback. So I'm not sure where that confusion lies. I mean, unless I have it wrong, that's pretty much the way I've seen it. So I hope you enjoyed the Tommy DeVito story. I don't believe it's over, but I do think that it's pretty cool to see how far he's come. If you just watch him out there tonight, look, he's not a starting quarterback in this league, and I don't think he's a backup quarterback in this league right now. But there is a place in this league for Tommy DeVito, age 25, and how much he's grown from May until the end of August. And I think the Giants want to stick with it and continue to try to grow with him and his game within this offense. So it'd be a shame if he wasn't here having that opportunity. But again, like I said, if he's not here, then that means he's gotten a 53-man roster spot somewhere else, which would really be an improbable outcome the way this thing will work out. So we'll wait and see. So the preseason is over. Like I said, the Giants were hit with a flurry of injuries tonight, but all those injuries were guys who were on the bubble or weren't making the team. Now, you feel for everyone who was injured, but I do believe the Giants will be more active on the waiver wire than maybe first thought. Maybe there'll be some player-for-player trades. I know Julian Aquara's name. I've been mentioning that since we were out in Detroit for the joint practices. I know some people piggybacked on my initial report and kind of ran with that. So now everyone is talking about Julian Aquara so much that it almost feels like it won't happen at this point. But Darnay Holmes playing into the third quarter tonight in a game that really was reserved for guys who were battling for the roster spot or essentially battling for a practice squad spot. That can't be great for Darnay. His cap is over $2 million, his cap hit. So, and he's lost that job on the inside and slot corner. I think the Giants will play Dory Jackson there in week 1. I'm sure they would like to add a slot corner if they could in the waiver wire or people who are out there via trade. I think they would love to add another edge to add to that depth. I tweeted this, and I do believe it. O'Shane Zimenez and Tamon Fox just didn't generate much pressure against the backup tackles for the Jets, and we know how much the backup tackles were essentially a sieve in the three previous preseason games for the Jets, going back to Canton and the Hall of Fame game. So I think the Giants would like to add there. I wouldn't rule out the idea of adding another inside linebacker, almost another veteran presence to allow Simmons to kind of move around. I think you have to look at safety now that Javarius Owens had a hamstring injury tonight, so I'm not sure how that's going to play out. Some of these guys might be kept on the initial 53 and then the next day put on to short-term IR. I think maybe a guy like Owens, that may fall in. Bobby McCain was on the bubble. He had an injury tonight. He had a concussion. But what do you do with that situation? He's certainly not going to clear by Tuesday. So how do you handle that? So there are a lot of questions from that respect. Bryce Ford Wheaton, obviously he was making a push for wide receiver and as a gunner. He hurts his knee. I don't know the severity of that, but that has to hurt his chances a little bit. Sterling Shepard playing tonight, actually returned a punt. I think Shep is on this roster, but if you want to make the argument that if he's playing tonight early on, maybe there are still questions. I don't believe there are still questions. I think the Giants would never have gone into this summer massaging Shep's schedule, if you will, to get back in his recovery if they were going to now make this a competition that he was not going to be on the team. It was all about health, and if he's healthy, I think he's going to be on this team. Colin Johnson not playing in the first half, then coming into the third quarter. I had wondered on Twitter whether or not Colin Johnson came in because Bryce Ford Wheaton got hurt early on and they needed another wide receiver in the rotation. We'll see if that happened, if that's the reason why. But a lot of questions. We'll be out and about all week. The cuts are at 4 p.m. I think you may get some tomorrow, starting tomorrow. And I think the Giants will do a lot of theirs on Monday. They have off. So I would imagine that that's where some of the cuts come down. And then we'll roll right into Tuesday and back on the practice field Tuesday late afternoon. And we'll be there for all of it. So hope you enjoyed tonight's show. A little long, but I wanted to give you the audio from both Isaiah Simmons and Tommy DeVito. And that's it. We're all in. So I'll be leaving MetLife now, Saturday night. And we know you're all in as well. Have a good night. Catch you guys soon.